I'm your host, John Roy, and I cover technology here at Water Tower Research. Today I'm joined from John Belizaire. He's the CEO of Slnh. We have chatted many times, and they are all excellent. I should mention that the company's safe harbor statement can be found on its website. Also, that this fireside chat cannot be reproduced or written transcript distributed without the express written consent of Water Tower Research. Well, John, welcome back again. How you doing?
John, it's nice to be back. I'm doing great, thanks.
Cool. Well, for those who don't know Slnh, could you just give us an overview of the company and kind of the market you're in?
Absolutely. So Slnh is on a mission to make renewable energy a global superpower. We've been on this mission for about 8 years now, and our mission is focused on making renewable energy a global superpower using computing as a catalyst. And what that means is we design and operate digital infrastructure that takes surplus renewable energy, in other words, power that would otherwise go to waste, and converts it into global computing resources. Our data centers are strategically co-located with wind, solar, and hydroelectric plants, and that allows us to deliver high-performance computing for applications like Bitcoin mining, generative AI, and other compute-intensive workloads. And at the core of our model is this proprietary software technology we've built called Maestro OS, which enables us to integrate seamlessly with the grid, optimize the energy use, and also deliver best-in-class costs for our customers and sustainable computing at scale.
Right. Energy cost is a huge element of course, the data center operations.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's become even more important these days with the growth and expansion of AI.
Absolutely. So maybe you can give us some details. You obviously recently announced a strategic partnership with Generate Capital, and I believe $100 million credit facility. Maybe you can give us some color on that and whatever kind of interesting elements.
Yeah, thanks for asking, John. Yeah, we've been working on that deal for a while now. Generate Capital is a leading investor in sustainable infrastructure. We announced recently that we signed a $100 million credit facility with Generate. The partnership is going to enable us to refinance some of our existing projects. That'll accelerate, and it'll also accelerate the construction of some of our newer data centers, such as Dorothy 2 and Kadi 1. And we also have the ability to unlock equity to fund our pipeline of renewable powered data centers, which now, by the way, is now exceeded over a gigawatt since we last spoken. We have over a gigawatt of projects under construction, operation, and in development.
Congratulations. That's quite a milestone.
Thank you. And what makes this deal unique is that it also goes beyond capital, John. It's, Generate is a incredible company. We see this as a strategic collaboration. They have deep experience in financing, operating sustainable infrastructure. So they have a lot of partnerships and networks that will help us, especially on the sustainable infrastructure and equipment side. They understand our business. They've invested in this space before. They understand our industry. So this makes them unique and ideal investors for us. They are long-term partners who really share our vision for what we're doing with renewable computing in scaling green computing for AI and Bitcoin. And the financing also allows us to really build off the momentum that we built earlier this year with our relationship with Galaxy Digital, and of course our long-running relationship with Slnh Capital. And it really positions us to build our pipeline over time at a lower cost of capital, more efficiently, more scalably, and in a more disciplined fashion. To give you some highlights, as we mentioned, it's a $100 million facility. We drew an initial $12.6 million or so to refinance Dorothy 1A and Dorothy 2, and that unlocks equity capital for Slnh and Slnh. We can then redeploy that into some of our future projects. We have a delayed draw that's coming up here for Dorothy 2 and Kadi 1 for about 22 and almost $23 million. And then we have a 64 and a half, call it, accordion facility that allows us to reserve for some of these future projects that are going to mature here, especially some of our AI activities, we'll have a way to fund some of that long lead equipment we'll need for those HPC sites. And the other thing I want to share is, I guess, the credit facility is a project level facility. This is project level financing we're announcing here. So there's no recourse to the parent. It's limited to the assets at the projects, and we also issued some equity in the form of warrants to align them with our interests and the interests of our shareholders in growing and making this platform successful.
Excellent. Well, congratulations. Now, you mentioned Project Cotty a couple
Yep.
times. I'm curious as the update. That's one of your Texas projects, I'm pretty sure, right?
That's right. Cotty is our newest and biggest flagship project. It's in the southeast part of Texas. It's right on schedule. We broke ground late this summer and held our groundbreaking ceremony just this past week. At the time we're recording here, we held it in Willacy County, Texas. We had more than expected number of people attending. We had local officials, community leaders, partners, everything from our investment partners to our advisors were there, and it was a fantastic event. Cotty is designed to be our largest site to date, as I said, 166 megawatts of clean computing, and the capacity is really built in two phases. So we started the construction of the first 83 megawatts of that 166, and we're expecting that to come online in early 2026. And this is a milestone for us, John. This is the first time we're building two projects, or ramping up or constructing two projects at the same time. So it's showing you the scaling that's happening with the company and the growth that's underway. This Cotty 1 will support the Bitcoin hosting business, so we'll have more capacity being added. In fact, we also announced that our first customer is already signed up. Galaxy Digital themselves will be about 48 megawatts of that 83 on site, and we'll start to market the other 35 as that begins to ramp. It was an important milestone for us. If you look at it, we've got 1 gigawatt of pipeline, at least two projects expanding on the site. We can now see more of our growth over multiple years because we have these projects now exclusive to us. And Cotty is the example of how we're scaling the business model that we've now proven to work at some of these other sites. So very exciting time.
Now, Cotty, is that wind primarily as a source?
It's wind, yes. Cotty is wind. It's sitting next to a 300 plus megawatt wind farm down in Southeast Texas. It's amazing, beautiful part of the country. We actually got to spend some time on the coast there. It's not too far from SpaceX's launch pad. So we've got, we're definitely in good company in that area. And so it's gonna be a wind powered site, which adds to our wind powered portfolio. And of course, we announced in our 1 gigawatt pipeline, we now have two solar projects, and those will be maturing here as well. And we'll announce those in the coming months.
Yeah, speaking of your other projects, obviously there's a fair number of them now in your list. Maybe you can give us some highlights on how the other projects are doing as well. Sure.
I'll go back all the way to Kentucky at Project Sophie, our first greenfield project. That's where I call Sophie our inception project. That's where we took the idea and made it, physical, breathing, and operating. Sophie's doing well. She's full of great customers. We made some change outs earlier this year, and that site is now up to over 1 exahash of computing capacity operating and spinning. And we're also beginning to think of expanding the size of that site. Dorothy is our next one in Texas, Dorothy 1A and 1B. That makes up Dorothy 1, the first 50 megawatts of Dorothy. That's also going swimmingly well. We have proven that Dorothy 1 and 1B can deliver on the business model behind the meter footprint. We've also expanded partnerships with some of our existing customers there. That includes Compass Mining, and also brought Blockware to that project, and they're expanding as well and continue to grow with us. And then we started construction of Dorothy 2 late last year, and that's going well. We have broken that construction, that next 48 megawatts, into 3 phases. And we just completed the first two phases and rounding out the third one. We have that site already full. So every time we finish a phase, the equipment to fill the phase is already on site and ready to be deployed. So we can get the revenue clicking, if you will. And that's all with very large customer partners that have expanded with us and growing with the company as well.
Excellent. So maybe a final question of, I know you can't obviously tell us what's happening next, but maybe kind of give us a little bit of view into your pipeline for 2025 and maybe even 2026.
Yeah, 25 and 26 look exciting. In the near term, we're focused on executing on Dorothy 2 and bringing the first phase of Kati, the first 83 megawatts, as I mentioned earlier, online in the early part of next year. Those will be important proof points for the scale of our model and also sort of bringing the company back to growing and scaling. We've had some challenging times in the last couple of years, and I feel like we're finally turning the corner and opening up a whole host of new horizons, for us. So at the same time, we're continuing to advance our broader pipeline with additional projects moving in to construction as we align with financing and partnerships, and we'll continue to do that. We are strategically positioning our facilities for not just Bitcoin hosting, but also meeting the demand and capacity for AI and other high performance computing workloads. And we're beginning to market that around Kati 2. We've designed a HPC facility there and marketing it to some of the other neocloud companies out there. Our outlook is really about scaling efficiently and diversifying our computing offerings, and also strengthening our role as a partner of choice, if you will, for some of the big hyperscale miners, and then ultimately enterprises looking for green digital infrastructure. Having come just from the Kati groundbreaking, I can tell you that it was a emotional experience. We've been through a lot as a group and as a team, and it's just amazing to see our vision coming, to fruition here with launching our next flagship project and seeing the growth of the business and its potential over the next few years.
Yeah, no, it's always nice when a plan comes together, of course.
Exactly. Oh, one of my favorite lines from
Well, we're going to have to leave it there, John. I really appreciate you joining us today to talk about it and to join this fireside chat. So investors, to learn more about Slnh, please visit their website, or you can visit our website, of course, at www.watertowerresearch.com. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. The views expressed in this fireside chat might not necessarily reflect the views of Water Tower Research LLC and are provided for informational purposes only. This fireside chat may not be distributed or reproduced without written consent of Water Tower Research and should not be considered investment, research, nor recommendation. WTR is an investor engagement firm, not a licensed broker, broker-dealer, market maker, investment banker, underwriter, or investment advisor. Additional disclaimers can be found at watertowerresearch.com.